tonight, Mr. Clarke Robinson, who was a lawyer for how many years?
40.
40, he says. And a darn good one, I might add. He is a wonderful soul and a just really, I think, representative of what it means to be of service to community and to God, and I really appreciate that about Clarke. And I want to throw in this little tidbit that he is a family man and has 10 grandchildren, which I just think is fantastic, and I know that they all simply adore him.
So I got 5 great-grandchildren.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5 great-grandchildren as well. Do they adore you too?
They don't talk too much.
Oh, jury's out on them. So would you please help me in welcoming Clarke to the microphone?
Whoa, 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 nice boy, oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
That's my wife, Beth, and I, entering into our, from the garage into the laundry room at home, and those are our 3 dogs. Now let me introduce you to them. They are alike in the sense that they are all standard poodles, and they were of the apricot variety, if you know what that is. It's kind of a light color on the white.
Into the microphone.
It's a kind of a light color on the white. And but one of them is the oldest of the 3, and the other 2 are her children. And the older one is Juliet. Juliet is a princess type. She had a standing invitation to spend nights and days over at my folks' house, packed with early American antiques, and she just was, you know, nice to them and would not interfere with them at all, and they just loved her. Her son was Sonny. He was a big galoot, and if you lay down on the couch to watch TV and he wanted to come up with you, he would, and you might be on the floor. You had to hang on for a dead life. And then our 3rd dog was Taffy. That was Juliet's daughter. Taffy grew up to be a small dog, but you know, they go through a puppy stage and they grow up. And then when she was about 1 year old, she never changed her personality. Taffy was always jumping around and ready to go and all that kind of stuff. And they would give us messages. When they're barking here at the door, they're saying, thank you for coming home, but why did you stay away so long? And get us out back because we gotta go. But they would leave us messages. If we left in the kitchen, if we left the big plastic waste paper basket there, they'd tip that over and throw the stuff all over the floor, just to tell us that they missed us. Well, then there's the story of the caramels. My mother-in-law loved to make caramels for Christmas, and I loved to eat them, so she would make me a box of them. You know, in caramels, you cut them up into these little rectangles, and then you would wrap them in wax paper, and then put them in a box. Well, when we went out, we unfortunately left that box under the Christmas tree. And when we got home, the 3 dogs had devoured about more than half of those things. Well, what's sicker than a dog? 3 dogs are sicker than a dog. And this lasted for 2 or 3 days. They suffered. But guess what? They loved to go to ride. And we had a big station wagon at the time, and I put them in the back seat. And they were mainly looking for other dogs. So they had their noses and faces up against the windows all the time. And when they were through, someone had to be delegated to go in and clean the pup kiss from the windows. All three dogs had one or two other things in common. They all had the same medical problem, and that was having strokes. And they all had them at the same age, at their own attained age of 11. Juliet, because she didn't want to bother anybody, didn't sleep under our bed one night and went into the bathroom and laid up as close to the john as she could get, apparently, for coolness. And in the morning, she was not with us. Sonny, when he was 11, started to have pain when he moved around, and you could tell he was suffering. And we took him to the vet. Vet couldn't help him, and so we had him put down. Well, that left us Taffy. Well, this year, when Taffy was also 11, like Sonny, we planned to go, and did go, with my parents on a Caribbean cruise. Well, we had to leave Taffy somewhere. Well, up on Aptekissick Road, if you know where that is, at the time, there was a place called the Americana Pet Motel.
Ooh.
And they were famous for doing extra things for their guests. Like if you sent them a postcard, they would read it to the animal. Well, the entrance to the motel was just like a regular motel, and the doors were over here, and then the long counter was here, and then the chairs were over here, and then way over at the far end was the manager's office. Well, the manager took a liking to Taffy, and he would have her in there with him when he was on duty. And so this one day, she was in there with him, and he decided it was time for Taffy to go out for a walk. So he called one of the girls in and to do that. And the girl comes in with a leash. And as soon as Taffy saw the leash, she knew that she was going to get to go out. And she's jumping around, and she hooks him up, and hooks Taffy up, and takes her across the room there, and right in the middle of the room, Taffy makes a big jump in the air and falls in a dead heap. Well, the manager wouldn't let us even pay to take care of Taffy, and so as long as Lucia Beth and I owned that house, whenever we would enter from the garage into the laundry room, we would open the door and we would call in, "Is anybody? Is anybody?" And we would feel again the love that we had for the dogs and the dogs had for us. And so that's my story. Just remember, is anybody? Is anybody?
Okay, how many dog lovers are there in the room this evening? Okay, put both your hands up if you just can't even stand it. That's me. Anybody? Bueller? Fry? So, Clarke, here's what your story reminds me of. Is that we communicate love in so many different forms. Some people might have heard of this book called Love Languages, or this concept of love languages, which I personally think is lovely and beautiful. But, love could be throwing paper around a kitchen. or eating all your caramels, I guess. Love can look like a lot of different things, and love can get kind of messy. Love can get kind of messy, and you might have to clean up after it for 2 or 3 days because you messed something up. But at the end of the day, there's always that, is anybody? Is anybody? That's just a beautiful ending right there. Can we give a round of applause for Clarke, please?